Good day to you, partner. I'm Guy, and I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken camp.
Hey guys, Wheat Solo here, aka the Skeleton King. I don't know why my voice feels dry, maybe it's because of the anticipation of finally seeing Poison Nova play it again. Oh my god, it's so refreshing. Look at how fast it is. So I'm sure there's going to be haters and doubters in the chat who go, you only killed 2 minions. I'll make sure that Woogs actually records a... By the way, Shrieking Terrors are dangerous, even for poison. Not like that dangerous, but just something to be concerned about. I'll make sure that Woogs does record a walkthrough, so that he can show that, yes, most minions do die. This build does still function. The reason it has taken so long is because it is very tight. If you followed us during beta, you'll know that basically we were, 5 to 10% mastery pierce and 1 to 2 skills off of perfect during beta, and we could not one-shot we could one-shot everything in a T3 except for champ death brawlers and up, and that's actually not that good. If you can't even one-shot a champ death brawler, that means you cannot one-shot the corpse, you can't one-shot the council, you can't one-shot the flesh crawlers if they're champ and elite, etc. In fact, I think White Corpulence might have survived even anyways. Ooh, he almost dies right there. So as you can see, this build is very, very good. We're going to go to the gear at the end, and he's still not clearing quite as fast as we were able to in seasons previous. I believe we were able to achieve a sub 3-minute clear with Poison Necromancer. I believe so in ROB. ROB is my favorite map of all time. I think it has a great layout. I think it has good monsters. I think most of them are pretty much pushovers, but when you combine them all together, like skeleton archers are dangerous. There's a few nice fatties, I think, that are underrated, and the boss to me is... I guess the reason why I like the boss so much is the boss really destroys, but there's ways to fight the boss without him destroying you. Like these pots of blood around the area. Obviously, Woogs likes to show that he can tank the Cold Nova anyways and almost die. But I just like that the boss is very dangerous, but you can use the environment to protect yourself from the boss. And there's a few bosses in the game where that is not the case. Like the stupid sewers boss, who he just zaps and you die. Anyways. Sorry, I went on a little tangent. It is not as smooth as it used to be, but as you can see, he is still doing a map faster than just about any build in the game, and probably even at this point already is the fastest mapper in the game. We knew this was going to be possible, and this is not with any Rathma gear. Now, he does have a few choice items that would be very challenging for anyone to get, so it's not like you can make this and expect to do 125 FCR Poison Nova anymore. Now, can you do 125 Poison Nova in like T1 and T2? Yes. Anyone can still manage that. And this build basically at this point now does T1 and T2 just like it did in previous seasons. Almost. It's still not quite as fast. Basically, there's a few minions that are big fatties, and something that's interesting about Poison Nova is that it usually clears the entire radius that Poison Nova is cast, but it doesn't. And so if you happen to have those big fatties around you, like Blunderboars, Thrashers, etc., and they happen to chunk up more than one cast, then it might not clear as much of the screen as you hoped it would. And when your damage is a little bit lower, every single missing projectile matters that much more. But it's almost exactly the same, and for ROB, we're getting close to previous season clear speeds with gear that is not dclone Rathma, although you could argue it's not easily obtainable. So, what's the verdict? Is Poison Nova the living dead? Yes. Is this how hard it should be to make? I don't know, talk to Senpai. I don't design the game. I think it's a little gated, obviously, but then there is the counter-argument, which is T1 and T2 are so pathetically easy that even though it is hard to even make Poison Nova for that, look at this one. This is what I was talking about. Now, is this much better than a D-Web? Yes. How much better? It's actually not that much better. What makes this so much better is the FCR. In fact, a D-Web probably does more damage than this. We're talking a perfect D-Web. Not even a +1, but like, a 2 socket with 2 facets probably does more damage than that. The difference is that it's 20 FCR, which that allows him to hit 125 FCR without a ridiculous amulet, and then you could argue that would be its own little piece of, challenging to get. As you can see, he's got everything he needs. 3 sockets, perfect bramble, well, 2% off. Anyways, pretty much perfect gear everywhere else. Now, if you weren't running 125 FCR, how easy would it be to do like a T3 map? It would be about just as hard, because I'm assuming you'd still have to run a D-Web and get a very good one. Could you do it? Yes. As you can see, technically he's dropping skills to run more FCR, right? So if you give up the idea of getting 125, just go for 75, which can actually be its own challenge to meet if you're running 3-piece. So let's say you can't even do that, although if you had 10 FCR rings and functional gear everywhere else, we're talking 30 FCR train gloves, that's 30, 40, and 50 just from your rings and your gloves alone. Then hitting that extra 25 is really not that challenging, although it's not just a foregone conclusion. You would need dclone boots, which is what Woogs wants to do, or you would need an amulet with some FCR and then a circlet with some FCR. You couldn't just run a Shaco or anything else. So like 48 would be pretty easy to get, and then you should be able to do T3 pretty well even at 48 FCR. With a D-Web, and again, very good gear. Like, look at the cores and everything else he's got going on. 13,000, he showed the Pierce earlier. So, yes, it is the living dead. And in T1 and T2, it basically functions just as well as before. There you go, 75 Pierce. The build's pretty simple. I'd probably go revives, not a big deal. But anyways, I'm just happy to see this build being played again, because I think Poison Nova is fun to play. Yes, it's brain dead, but it's kind of hard to argue against the fastest build in the game. By the way, those Shacos are actually very good for dclone. And he just keeps failing on them. Very nice Merc, Shattered Wall with a Cleansing, Prayer Merc, or Plague on a Prayer Merc, so he gets everything he needs. Some CDR gloves, oh that's cute. Nice resin life, yeah that guy should never fucking die. Well anyway guys, Skelly King out, GG.
Come and play with us, Daddy. Forever.